Last night, near the end of the debate, something remarkable happened. Joe Biden, for the first time all night, actually told the truth about something. Take a look.
I have one final
question.
Would
he close down the oil industry?
It falls.
Would you close down the oil industry?
By the way, I would transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I will
that's
transition.
a big statement.
It is a big statement.
That's a
because
big statement.
I would stop.
Why would you do that?
Because the oil industry pollutes significantly.
I see.
And here's the deal. But
That's
you
a
can't
big
do
statement.
that. Well, if you let me finish the statement, because it has to be replaced by renewable energy over time.
He finally said it. Under a Biden-Harris administration, the oil and gas industry would become a thing of the past. Now, oil, gas, fossil fuels happen to be the lifeblood of the world's economy. And by the way, millions of high-paying career jobs in America would be eliminated. And of course, thanks to President Trump in the last 3.5 years, we have now become energy independent for the first time in 75 years. We are now, for the first time in more than 75 years, the world's largest producer of energy. And if Joe Biden, well, if he becomes president, that all goes away. So if you live in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Texas, Oklahoma, be prepared to suffer, because if Joe Biden gets his way, hundreds of thousands of high-paying jobs in Pennsylvania alone will be gone. Nationwide, well over 10 million jobs will be eliminated, and the industries that benefit from the energy sector, well, they'll lose jobs as well. Now, that's from anywhere between 6 and 10% of the entire U.S. workforce. Manufacturing costs will skyrocket in this country. That means manufacturing will once again go overseas. Energy costs will skyrocket for every American family. America's economy would ultimately be destroyed even before Biden's proposed tax increases on the middle class and small business. And in the process, America's adversaries like Russia, China, Venezuela, they would then own the oil and gas industry. That would allow them to become more powerful than ever before. That will weaken our national security, and Joe will be making Russia, China, Venezuela, and the Middle East, a lot of countries that don't like us there, he'll be making their economies great again instead of making America's economy great again. Now, the Biden plan to, quote, transition from oil and gas is so insane that even some Democrats today in swing districts, they are racing for cover. You know, some of Biden's fellow Democrats are even publicly rebuking his extreme agenda. And by the way, now Joe and Kamala Harris, they're doing their best and have been all day at damage control. They're now pretending that he doesn't really want to ban oil and gas. In other words, they're just lying. Now, the Green New Deal, which they both support, which calls for the abolition of fossil fuel, is literally endorsed. It's right there on Joe Biden's own website. And Joe and Kamala Harris think that we, the American people, we must be stupid. And by the way, that they can just lie to our faces over and over and over again and think we're going to forget the many times they said they would ban fracking and eliminate fossil fuels. Last night's debate was no exception. For example, Joe Biden said that no one lost their insurance under Obamacare. Well, millions lost their plans, millions lost their doctors, and on average, we're paying about 200% more when they said we'd save $2,500 per family per year. Joe also said he never opposed the president's China travel ban. That was another lie, too. Joe actually repeatedly called the travel ban xenophobic, hysterical, fear-mongering. He did it the day after the president implemented the travel ban from China. That was only 10 days after the first identified case of coronavirus, and he was doing it in late March. At one point, Joe also said that he never opposed fracking. This lie was so egregious, even fake news CNN, they had to fact-check it. So, Joe, do you realize how stupid and dishonest and sleazy you look by doing this? Take a look.
Would there be any place for fossil fuels, including coal and fracking, in a Biden administration?
No, we would work it out. We would make sure it's eliminated and no more subsidies for either one of those. I guarantee you, we're going to end fossil fuel.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
I'd gradually move away from fracking.
I think it's critically important on day one that we end any fossil fuel leases on public lands.
No more, no new fracking.
eliminate fracking. He said it. Eliminate fracking. Pennsylvania. Which Joe do you believe? The president, he was right. 47 years in the swamp. Joe Biden, all talk, no action. And whenever he does do something, it usually means that we, the American people, pay a heavy price. And sadly, Biden's blatant dishonesty, it didn't end there. He also told this incredibly bizarre lie about the United States and Adolf Hitler. Take a look.
You know what? North Korea, we're not in a war. We have a good relationship. You know, people don't understand. Having a good
President
relationship
Trump,
with
we have
leaders
to
of
move
other
on, 'cause
countries
we have
is
a lot
a
of
good thing.
We have a lot of questions to get
Yes,
to.
not
Your
bad.
response.
Saying we had a good relationship with Hitler before he, in fact, invaded Europe, the rest of Europe. Come on.
Come on, man. The U.S. was sending weapons, Joe, and other supplies across the Atlantic to Hitler's adversaries well before the war. Maybe something tells me that Joe was not a very good student. Oh, that's right, too, because he finished near the bottom of his law school class, and then he lied about that like he's lied about so many other things, like being endorsed by the NAACP. That was a lie. Now, that is actually what sank his first presidential bid just a few decades ago. You get the theme here? Joe Biden told many lies last night, and at one point, President Trump forcefully brought the issue of the kids in the cages smear that the Democrats are too fond of, and told the truth. Take a look.
They built cages. You know, they used to say, I built the cages. And then they had a picture in a certain newspaper. And it was a picture of these horrible cages. And they said, look at these cages. President Trump built them. And then it was determined they were built in 2014. That was him. They did it. We changed.
Did not
they built the
separate
cages.
They-
Who built the cages, Joe?
Let's talk about what
Who
we're
built the
talking about.
cages,
Let's
Joe?
talk about.
By the way, Joe, you see those cages, these pictures? Yeah, you built that. I know Obama's fond of saying, you didn't build that, but you guys did build that. You put the kids in cages. And these pictures are from the time that you were vice president and Barack Obama was president. Now, it was President Trump who reformed America's child immigration practices, not you. In nearly 50 years in the D.C. swamp, Joe has said a lot of things, made a lot of promises, has very little to nothing to show for his efforts. Last night, President Trump held Biden's feet to the fire. Take a look.
I don't make money from China. You do. I don't make money from Ukraine. You do. I don't make money from Russia. You made $3.5 million, Joe. I ran because of you. I ran because of Barack Obama, because you did a poor job. If I thought you did a good job, I would have never run. That's
10
a
seconds.
typical political statement. Let's get off this China thing. And then he looks, the family, around the table, everything. Just a typical politician when I see that.
Let's talk about
I'm not
North
a typical
Korea now.
politician.
Okay,
That's why I got elected.
All night, Joe was struggling to defend himself. Frequently, instead of making cogent points or rebuttals, Joe reverted back to his favorite go-to line. Come on, man. Come on, man. Are you a junkie? That was one of my favorites. Anyway, he did it numerous times throughout the night and throughout the campaign. Take a look.
Why the hell would I take a test? Come on, man.
Come on.
It's like saying before you got in this program, if you take a test where you're taking cocaine or not, what do you think, huh? Are you a junkie?
Come on.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
So don't worry about it. Come on. I got votes for that bill. I convinced people to vote for it. Come on. The
Radical
question-
left.
Will you
Who
shut
is your-
up, man?
listen.
Come on.
You ever been to a caucus? No, you haven't. You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
Come on.
And you want to check my shape on, let's do push-ups together, man. Let's run. Let's do whatever you want to do. Let's take the nice pizza.
Come on.
Now, Joe should have been arrested because he spent 5 of the last 6 days inside his basement bunker just preparing for the debate, taking naps and drinking hot cocoa. Is that the best you got? Come on, man, come on, man. Anyway, in Joe's defense, it was way past his bedtime. That's probably why he was looking at his watch, likely hoping and praying that the debate would soon come to a merciful end. You might remember during the 1992 debate when George Herbert Walker Bush, he looked at his watch. Oh, it became a national scandal. In fact, decades later, the media mob was still obsessing and reminiscing about the scandalous watch moment. They're eerily quiet about Joe, though. Take a look.
In 1992, George H.W. Bush deliberately looks at his watch, and he pays for it when the audience and voters see it as disrespectful.
George Bush is caught in the background looking at his watch, and he doesn't just glance at his watch. He does it like he's in a theater production and trying to make sure they see it in the last row. And it just accentuated this pre-existing narrative that George W. Bush was just kind of not in the moment, wanted to get through this thing, didn't care.
All right, so I wonder if Biden will receive the same treatment from the media mob. Of course not. Last night, many praised the debate moderator's, quote, even-handed performance. I didn't think it was so even-handed. She interrupted President Trump nearly 30 times and interrupted Biden only twice. As we've been telling you, there are powerful institutional forces, including the media mob, big tech, social media, Democratic socialists, so-called never-Trumpers, weak establishment Republicans, and, of course, the deep state, all aligned against this president. The only thing that can stop them in 11 days is you, the American people. You're the ultimate jury. Now, even so, it's Joe Biden, not President Trump, who is resting at his home in Delaware tonight. Despite an unprecedented, leisurely campaign schedule, I guess Joe is exhausted. Now, this is important. If Joe Biden doesn't have the strength, the stamina, the mental acuity, the mental alertness to handle the rigors of a campaign, how does he plan to lead the free world, considering that's the hardest job in the world?